Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Wednesday, and we're going to talk about a lot of things today, so let's get right to it. Here's the Arctic front on the current surface map, and you can see that the temperatures ahead of that Arctic front from Maine down to the mid-Atlantic states are pretty much in the 40s to around 50. You get into some 30s as you go a little further to the north, which makes sense. And then you go behind the Arctic front, and you see temperatures all below freezing, and then you get into the teens and a couple of isolated single digits left over from the morning lows. So all of that cold air is what's coming this way. Now, there is going to be the possibility of a little bit of snow. It looks like there might be just a small wave that will develop on this Arctic front, and I think that could trigger off some snows tonight over southern New Jersey, and particularly Atlantic and Cape May counties, maybe even into a little bit into northern Delaware. I'll show you what the model is doing, and I'm going to cover a lot of different areas today, so stay with me and just be patient, because if I don't get to your area first, I will get to it second or third. So let's go tight and show you here, because I want to show you the Arctic front and the possibility of a little bit of snow. So I'll just back it up, and there we go. It's a very, very small wave. You can see it here. There's just a little bit of light snow that's generated, a little kink here in the isobar as the Arctic air starts to come in. And there's actually a secondary front that's going to produce quite a bit of lake effect snows throughout upstate New York and into northern Pennsylvania. So that lake effect machine is turned on, and then that comes through. So I think there could be some snow showers in the mix here going into Friday. And that means that scattered areas could wind up with a coating to maybe a half an inch of accumulation out of all these little things. And for most of you, you probably wind up not seeing anything. So now let's jump to Friday night and Saturday, because this is what we're seeing here. First off, for those of you in the Midwest, this is going to be a pretty decent snowstorm with this low going from southern Kansas across Missouri and then heading toward central Indiana and on up into northwestern Ohio. Here in the east, it's this supercharged, what I'll call a supercharged warm front that by Saturday morning 1 a.m. is kind of like this, okay? And that is much further south than what we saw last week, and there's still plenty of cold air. In theory, if you had to look at where the rain snow line is at this point at 1 a.m., this is first blue line that you see here. So this is where generally the rain snow line is going to be. Actually, in this particular situation, sometimes it can actually be a little bit warmer than that, and it winds up being this first red line. So let's just say, for compromise sake, it's somewhere between those two thickness lines, what we call the thickness of the atmosphere. Okay, and that's going to be moving rapidly northeast. Now remember, you're going to take temperatures in some places from 0 to 50 in less than 36 hours. So that's a tremendous amount of warm air advection that's occurring from one point to another, and that creates heavy snow. And here's the map for Saturday morning, where we've got this pinned down warm front like this, okay? So it's still trying to hold on to cold air. So all of this ahead of it, you get all this snow that breaks out, and you can see how extensive that snow area goes all the way back. And then you have this area of ice. What's been remarkable to me about the GFS model, it is that this is about the sixth run in a row where it really hasn't changed very much at all. It hasn't changed on the timing. It hasn't changed on the position of the lows. It's pretty much got this spot-on view of what it thinks is going to happen. Now, let's go through the forecast, but my early call snow forecast. And we're going to start with, I'm going to do the areas around New York City and Philadelphia. Then we're going to do South Central Pennsylvania and North Central Maryland, for those of you on SS Storm Chasers. And then I'm going to introduce you to Angry Ben, who put out his forecast. He is JOESTRADAMUS' counterpart for New York City. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. This will be from, generally for this broad area, let's say snow from 1 a.m. Friday night through 1 p.m. Saturday. I think by 1 o'clock in the afternoon Saturday, much of this area will have already changed to rain anyway. So for Coastal southeastern New England, eastern Long Island, coastal New Jersey, a coating to an inch. You start to go a little further west into Long Island, into Suffolk County, except for the northwestern part of Suffolk County, 1 to 2 inches. And then I include New York City, northwestern Suffolk, a part of interior Connecticut that runs northeast to southwest, including Windham, New Haven, and Bridgeport. And then down the New Jersey shore, mainly west of the Garden State Parkway, we're talking 2 to 3. Go just west of New York City, just west of the Hudson, the North Bronx, on into southern Westchester, the Connecticut, north of Route 15, and especially north of Route 84. I'm thinking there'll be a band of at least several inches of snow here. And that band will extend southward through northern New Jersey and on into southeastern Pennsylvania, across southern Pennsylvania. And then we have this band of 5 inches or more for much of northeastern Pennsylvania. I put in northwest New Jersey into this, and the Hudson Valley, mainly north of Route 84, also in a possibility of 5 inches or more. That line could generate further south. I'm being conservative at this point. Now, for you SS storm chasers, for south central PA and north central Maryland, I have you in the band of several inches of snow going over to some ice and then rain with 5 inches or more once you get north of, say, Route 276. It's probably the best way to look at it. So from there northward, there could be 5 inches or more. Then you go south into Maryland, and that little area of northernmost Maryland, several inches, especially if it's elevation driven. And then you go further south and toward Baltimore. I'm thinking 2 to 3 inches before it goes over to rain, and then 1 to 2 inches further south from there into the Washington, D.C. Area. So that's going to be my call for south central Maryland. Now, specifically for New York City, we have Angry Ben. And if you've been on my website or on my Facebook page, you see that I do put up Angry Ben's posts. He's a real person and he's a friend of mine. And he focuses specifically on New York City, and he's thinking 2 to maybe 4 inches, with lesser amounts as you go over to eastern Long Island and higher amounts as you go north and west. And you can access Angry Ben's posts at nycweathernow.com. So that is the website that he works with me on. So this is what we think is going to happen forecast-wise with this. And then it goes over to rain. And that first batch, actually, it'll change over to rain and then taper off for a while. And then we're going to have to wait for this front to come through, which it does Sunday morning. And you can see behind it, it's generating a changeover back to snow in the colder air. So an argument could be made. There's a little bit of a wave that develops on that front that draws down some colder air, that we could see a changeover to sleet and snow for a couple of hours on the backside of this Sunday evening before it all disappears. Backside changeovers are tough to call. Sometimes they happen, sometimes they just shuts off and you don't get anything. And then as we move through into the middle part of next week, at least for now, we don't see too much going on. So I'm going to do a separate video later today to discuss the long range. I just wanted to keep this focused on the snow. Now let's I want to look at what the models are doing so we can, as far as total snowfall out of this. So I will show you, we'll take a look at the Gfs model. And I can tell you right now, it's already kind of backed off a little bit from the prior run, but I think that's why I was conservative with amounts in some places. I'm just giving you a quick glance, but I'll use the broader map so it's a little wider. This is through Sunday morning, so the snow will have already either ended or have changed in most places. So long ended or changed, and this will give you some total amounts. So generating some 4 and 5 inch amounts in the Hudson Valley, a good band of several inches for New Jersey and Long Island, and then you have this patch of 7 to 8 inches in interior southeast and south central Pennsylvania into north central Maryland, and also significant but not overly significant amounts in upstate New York, because what happens is once that high pulls out, that warm front races northward very quickly, so they don't gain any extra time because the cold air is not holding in. So they're going to snow, if we wind up with about 4 to 6 hours worth of snow, where it snows hard in a 4 to 6 hour time frame, they're also going to wind up with a 4 to 6 hour snow window before it changes over to rain. So that's the GFS. I haven't looked at the NAM yet. Let's look at the NAM model. Oh, and by the way, you can see for those of you that live out to the west, in western areas here, you know, you go up into northwestern Pennsylvania, back over through Michigan, Wisconsin, just north of Chicago. Looks like Chicago will be right on the edge of 6 inches plus. Further down into Ohio, you start to see how the amounts decrease to 4, 3, and 2 inches. The darker blues are basically a coating to an inch. You start to get into the lighter blues, that's where you're talking about 1 to 3 inches. So you can kind of gauge this accordingly. If you want to see these close up, tropicaltidbits.com, click on weather models. And then you can click on whatever weather model you want and pull up all kinds of different maps, including the snowfall maps. Let me look at the NAM model because I didn't see it today. And I just kind of eyeballing it. It's pretty much, it's probably a little bit more robust than it was on the prior run. Same idea here. Let me get close up. Same idea, though, in terms of total snowfall. You know, we're looking at, you know, 3, 4 inches, 5 inches up into the interior areas of northern New Jersey, Hudson Valley, lesser amounts down to the coast. You know, you've got 6 inches plus in northeastern Pennsylvania, down to, you know, parts of south central PA into north central Maryland, even some 3-inch amounts down into northern Virginia. So it's a pretty large area that gets snow. And by the way, the rain snow line is going to be kind of sweeping in. The warm air is going to be sweeping in basically from the southeast. So it's going to change over in a lot of places from north to south at the same time because of how the high is going out. If the high were going up into northern New England, this would be a different ball game. We would probably get a lot, maybe double this, especially in northern areas. But because of how the high is going out and that this is a progressive case, in other words, everything moves along in the atmosphere, that there's no blocking involved, the profile of the snowfall is different. So we'll just leave it at that. There, once again, is Angry Ben's forecast amount for New York City, 2 to 4 inches. That's what he's thinking. Here is my forecast again for South Central and PA and North Central Maryland for you SS Storm Chasers on SS Storm Chasing on Facebook. And here is JOESTRADAMUS's snowfall call. And by the way, you can get more on this and more on what's going on, of course, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, weatherlongisland.com, where it's Long Island specific, nycweathernow.com with Angry Ben, ssstormchasers.com, where there's myself and a number of others doing a lot of work. I don't do the storm chasing work, but there's a whole group of them that go around, so you will see their videos when things happen. And if you want a more specific forecast, you can download my app and subscribe. The app is free. Subscription's just $1 a month. It really goes a long way to helping me out, and I would with doing all of this stuff. And I cover New York City, Long Island, Connecticut, the Hudson Valley, New Jersey, and eastern Pennsylvania, all the way down to southeastern PA and Philadelphia. And you can click on the link that's up here right now for that. And I think that's it, because I have a day off from TV today, so I can focus my time on you guys on the web. And yes, please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free. It's a free subscription. My YouTube videos will always be free. I will never go to a subscriber base for this, as I love doing them. And I thank you all very much for the continued engagement.